Thank you.
Wow. It was very, very powerful film. So at the start of the screening, you had mentioned that this was 10 years in the making. So if you can, take us back 10 years and how this started.
It started by one of our producers reading a book and being so compelled by it that she sat on the stairs by the heater all night long, all through the night, and finished it, and went about getting the rights the next day. And then, I mean, these kinds of movies, and unless you make them yourself, you really will never appreciate what miracles any of them are that they ever get made, I swear. So many times they don't. And this one took, just a lot of love and care and persistence from a lot of people over a decade. Yeah.
And what was it about the book that spoke to you that you felt you had to tell the story and put it up on the screen for everyone to see?
I hadn't read the book when I got the script, and I certainly had never considered the Holocaust genre to be someplace I would go as a filmmaker, because I think there have been a number of incredible movies made, and I didn't ever think that I could contribute in any meaningful way. But when I read this, well, firstly, I'd never heard this story before, and it was so extraordinary. But it also seemed a way of telling this story again, but in a way that focused very much on care and compassion and courage, and that felt like something I could do.
And since this is a true story, it's such a monumental undertaking, to do this film and to tell this true story. What was one of the challenges, the greatest challenge that you kind of faced telling Antonia's story?
I mean, definitely the Warsaw Ghetto, getting that. It's not like getting it right, but really trying to deeply understand what that was. Because, I mean, we all know about it, and it's incredibly troubling, but I don't think I had ever really deeply thought about it and to try to understand it. And it was a very difficult time for me and my team in pre-production, where we really kind of had to go there. As a filmmaker, I felt the best way to introduce the Warsaw Ghetto to the audience of this film was to see it for the first time through Jan's eyes. In fact, exactly what happened. He did take his son, and that was really indicative of how he didn't think it was going to be that bad. And I think that's the sort of filmmaker that I am, to go into something like that through somebody that we like, maybe that we love by this stage in the movie, and we can feel the way he feels, as opposed to taking a more kind of objective point of view, like, here it is, and it was horrifying.
And I'm curious, do Jan and Antonia's descendants, did they have any input in the film? Did you meet them personally?
Yeah, in fact, Teresa, who's the little girl at the end of the movie, she's in the movie. At the beginning, if you think back, there's a cocktail party, and there's two ladies sitting on the couch, and the one on the right is one of our producers, Kim Zubik, and the one on the left is Teresa Savinsky. Wow. Yeah, it's so nice. And you're the first audience. Thank you. Cheers. But Warsaw is the second. I'm leaving tomorrow to take the film to Warsaw, and the Zabinskis will be there. And in fact, there's a man travelling from Israel who was one of the little boys in the basement, one of the Kenningswein boys. He's the last survivor. So I imagine it's going to be tremendously moving.
Have they seen the film yet, or they'll be watching?
Yeah. The Zabinskis have seen the film, and they really liked it. Yeah.
So what kind of input did they give you on her parents, so that helped you to hone in on the details on who they were, and to get Jessica and the male actor who played Jan to make these performances so true?
Well, it was very helpful for Jessica, incredibly helpful, to spend a day with Teresa and just talk about her mother. And there's little things like Jan hated Antonina wearing red nail polish, but she loved it. And so in the party, she's wearing it because she could wear it at a party and not upset her husband. There's a watch she wears that took us a long time to source for Jessica, because we were determined for it to be exactly the same watch, because that was so much a part of Antonina. Teresa was super helpful to Jessica, and the book, for those of you who've read the book, there's incredible detail. It was a great resource for our production design. And we kept it as authentic as possible. So should you go to the Warsaw Zoo, you'll see that villa. We copied it exactly. We just flipped it 180. But we built that zoo in the Czech Republic as close as possible to the Warsaw Zoo, to what it was in 1939.
And it looks like that these animals are really there. Was there any computer graphics used for any of the animals, or how did you go about some of these scenes where there's bombs going off and the animals are there? It's harrowing.
Yeah, it is. Visual effects have come so far, and you can see a movie like Life of Pi and the animals look photoreal and everything, but, well, firstly, we didn't have the budget. But more importantly, I couldn't conceive of making an authentic movie out of this story and using fake animals. I just couldn't do it. And the problem with visual effects animals is that they're always designed by people. And we're not. I can tell a visual effects team what a lion can do, but I really can never understand a lion's behavior because I'm not a lion. And so we built a zoo, and we were able to source from very, very good trainers in the Czech Republic all of the animals you see. The only ones that aren't real are the ones that are dead, but they are not real animals. They're not real dead animals. They're puppets, and the ones that are babies, because baby animals should be with their mothers. They should not be on film. So
the elephant birthing scene was.
Yeah. So the elephant, the one she's working on is a latex puppet with this really tattooed and pierced guy with his hand up inside it. You don't see him. And then when the little elephant, comes back to life and stands up, that's in fact a little CG elephant, a computer-generated elephant. But it's true in that a number of elephants were born while we were in Europe, and we went and mapped one of them, which is to say, took lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of pictures, so that what you see is that's an actual elephant out there in the world, that little baby. We just remade it in the computer.
They say in filmmaking one of the most challenging things is working with children and animals, and you're doing a lot of that in this film.
I'd only work with them, truly. It's true. It's true.
Going back to Whale Rider.
Yeah. Although only I could cast the one child in the Czech Republic that hated animals. But
which child was that?
The little Reese. He couldn't bear them, which was something I never anticipated. Because what child doesn't like animals? Well, that one.
So I think we have some time for some questions in the audience. Raise your hand and we'll have a microphone come to you.
All the way in the back, on your right.
Right over there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Was it impossible to have shot the movie in Poland itself? Why did it have to be in Czech Republic? Yeah, it is. You can thank the Germans and the Russians for that. The city was obliterated. You go to Warsaw now, and it's a completely modern city. There's nowhere to shoot. So yeah, we shot in Prague, which is very beautiful and very, you know, what I didn't even appreciate before I started this was that before the war, Warsaw was known as the Paris of the North. It was a really beautiful, very, very cosmopolitan city, and we were able to recreate that in Prague.
Another question.
Back here to your left.
Thank you.
Yes.
Beautiful film. Thank you so very, very much. We're over here.
Hello. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, here we are. Question for you. The decision to have all of the spoken parts in English, or seemingly so, can you talk a little about how you navigated the language piece?
Are you talking about accent?
No, I'm actually talking about, did you consider having it in Polish with subtitles, or was there ever any thought of no?
No. I mean, this is a movie that's financed in the United States to a certain extent. You know, it is financed through pre-sales around the world, but it's very much an English language film, and you know, there's certainly a lot of them. This type of film, actually, probably quite a few made by Focus, actually.
Last question right up here on your right.
First of all, thanks for the film. It was fantastic. One of the things I was amazed with, you talked about the little boy not liking the animals, but the adult actors, I mean, I think it's such a fine line between, I mean, Jessica and the animals were amazing, but in a way that wasn't like a Disney cutesy syrupy thing. It seemed very natural. Did the actors have to go through a lot of training just to the interaction with the, particularly the scene with the elephants? And I realized there were probably some safety things, and it probably wasn't really lunging at her head. But
She was right underneath it.
but she's. It was just. How did you get the actors to? It was that a natural thing on their part, or did they do lots of extensive training?
Jessica couldn't have made this movie with anybody else. And she is, and I don't mean this in any kind of casual or flippant way, she's an animal whisperer. She is one. And I've met, you know, in my time, a lot of people that like animals and are good with them, but I've never seen anything like this otherworldly connection she had with them. And then that is what she shares with Antonina. So all of Jessica's kind of rehearsal period was really just her being with the animals, becoming comfortable with them and they with her, which just happened like that. And she was really the one that was interacting with the most of the time. There's a character called Jerzy, Michael McAllatton. You may know him from Game of Thrones. All the animals hated him. They bit him and scratched him, and the elephant got him in the chest with its tusk one time. So absolutely no animals were harmed. They had a brilliant time, but Michael McAllatton got it, you know, every day he was on set. Yes, there's just
Yeah, okay,
one more.
one quick one, sure.
Thank you. Very important addition to the documentation, because this is, as you said, based on true story and facts. Sad, but very important to know. Ultimately very human, uplifting.
Yeah.
What, in your opinion, if any, were the most important or significant departures from what we think actually really happened through the course of the
So the question is, what do you think are the most significant departures from the book, or from true events? From what actually happened.
It's pretty accurate, actually. Although, if you go to the Warsaw Zoo, the basement looks different. Our basement looks different. The character of Ursula, played by Shira, she's not a real person. She's one of the only, I think maybe the only character that we brought into the piece. And I felt strongly that there needed to be a character that was very emblematic of what happens to children in wartime. And for her, because she has experienced such violence, she's become completely animal. That for Antonina was a very natural way to care for her, as if she was an animal. And I love that scene that Angela wrote where she gives her a little bunny, because that's what animals are, I think. That speaks to the healing power of animals that we all know with our pets. But somehow animals, I think, ironically bring out our humanity. And if I think that for me, to bring humanity out of this genre, I'm proud of that, and I'm horrified by what a contemporary movie this has become. Because when I was developing it, I was making a Holocaust, a historical drama. It seems now that it's a very contemporary film. So I'm pleased it's going out there, and I'm pleased it's going out with the kind of message that it has.
Thank you again for making it.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks. Thank you all so much. Thanks.